established under the Budapest Convention has provided guidance, analysis, and recommendations that help countries turn legal principles into real-world action. The new UN Convention Against Cybercrime that was signed by 72 states on 25th of October in Hanoi, Vietnam, represents a strong commitment of the international community to continue the fight against cybercrime. Both the Budapest Convention and the UN Conventions are complementing each other. Together, they provide a better international legal framework for countries committed to contribute to the global response to cybercrime threats. At the same time, African states are increasingly engaging with regional instruments, such as the Malabo Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, offering important perspectives and capacities. The Council of Europe warmly welcomes this engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight against cybercrime requires coordinated and sustained multi-stakeholder action across borders, across institutions, and across sectors. This forum embodies exactly that spirit by bringing together ministers, justice officials, law enforcement leaders, regulators, private sector actors, and international partners. The forum aims to deliver key outcomes, including enhanced peer learning and knowledge sharing, practical guidance for operational cooperation, and commitments towards strengthening legal and institutional frameworks. We are proud to organize this forum with the government of Kenya under the close coordination of the Ministers of Interior and ICT and under the leadership of the National Computer and Cybercrime Coordination Committee. Kenya's role as host underscores its regional leadership and its determination to build a secure digital future. The Council of Europe remains deeply committed to strengthening our partnership grounded in trust, reciprocity, and shared ambition. As we advance our responses to cybercrime, we must also reaffirm a principle that lies at the heart of the Council of Europe mandate. Security must never come at the expense of human rights, including the right to privacy and freedom of expression. Through the Budapest Convention, but also the Council of Europe Conventions on Data Protection and our new Framework Convention on Artificial Intelligence and Human Rights, Democracy and the Rule of Law, all treaties with a global vocation, the Council of Europe supports countries in developing responses that are effective, lawful, proportionate, and grounded in human rights and rule of law safeguards. These instruments are also firmly rooted in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Excellencies, distinguished participants, while Africa is shaping its digital future with determination and vision, cybercrime continues to evolve faster than any single institution or country can manage alone. Together, through this forum and beyond, we can build a safer, more resilient, and more just digital environment. And with that, I wish you very productive exchanges and a successful forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthias, for the kind words, for bringing in the contribution of the Council of Europe and the perspective on cybercrime in respect to African continent. Budapest Convention has been mentioned several times. It's indeed the foundation. We build our action, our capacity building on the Budapest Convention, and only 2 days ago we celebrated 24 years since the Budapest Convention is in force. Now it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Andrei Simek, Deputy Head of Mission EU Delegation to Kenya.
PS Internal Security and National Administration of Kenya, Raymond Omolo, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy of the Gambia, Lamin Jabi, Your Excellencies, distinguished speakers, and participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. It is truly a great pleasure for me to be here today on behalf of the European Union at the opening of this third African Forum on Cybercrime, and to be part of an action-oriented discussion focused on tackling such a crucial issue. We gather here today amidst a rapidly evolving digital landscape, where serious and organized crime adapts with an alarming speed and sophistication. As our lives have become more intertwined with the online domain, criminals have infiltrated these spaces, making digital infrastructure and data prime targets for their activities. Artificial intelligence and other cutting-edge technologies are being misused to expand cybercrime operations. Online fraud is now the fastest growing type of organized crime, generating large profits and targeting individuals, companies, private sector, and public institutions alike. Scam operations are now impacting some 110 countries, using AI to create convincing scam narratives available in local languages. Cryptocurrency is often used for payment and investment fraud, amplifying the risks. The impact, as we all know, is massive. These fraud operations are backed by global sophisticated networks. They involve money launderers, human traffickers, as well as various specialized service providers and facilitators. Structures behind other cybercrimes, including such grave crimes as online child sexual exploitation, are equally complex and possibly even more devastating in their impact. We all understand that these crimes cannot be tolerated, that we must unite across borders to tackle them. Cooperation at national, regional, and global level is key. We need political awareness, comprehensive strategies, regulatory frameworks, and operational capabilities to successfully tackle and fight cybercrimes, to close legal loopholes, to share information, to investigate, to prosecute offenders, to eliminate the existing criminal networks. But above all, we need to move from tackling the threats to a more preventive approach of dealing with cybercrime. And that means strengthening public awareness, digital literacy, critical verification skills, and digital resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, as we intensify our joint efforts to combat cybercrime, let us work in ways that preserve our core values, ensuring that our security measures do not come at the expense of human rights, including freedom of speech that undermines open and resilient societies. For over 2 decades, the European Union and the Council of Europe have worked hand in hand to strengthen the global response to cybercrime, grounded in shared values of the rule of law, human rights, and multilateral cooperation. Together, we continue to promote the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime and its protocols as the cornerstone of international cooperation. And we support other countries, including those in Africa, in accession to the Budapest Convention, in legislative alignment and in policy implementation. Joint initiatives such as GLASSY and Cyber South are offering training opportunities for judicial and law enforcement professionals in over 40 African countries at the moment, with a particular focus on the introduction of legislative reforms and development of operational capacities. Here in Kenya, our new EU Cyber Security Resilience Program will work hand in hand with these broader initiatives, focusing on critical areas where cybersecurity and the fight against cybercrime intersect. We will support strengthening of Kenya's threat detection and response capacities, threat intelligence capacities, and broad awareness of cybercrime risks among citizens. Cybersecurity is also a key topic in the context of our regular security and defense dialogue between EU and Kenya. The last iteration just finished 3 weeks ago. We had an extensive discussion on this, and I really look forward to the follow-up actions. Our partnership with the Council of Europe is aimed at supporting Africa's digital transformation, offering support to governments to design effective cybercrime and cybersecurity strategies, to enhance judicial cooperation, and to develop operational capacities to tackle cybercrime threats. Both the European Union and the Council of Europe remain strongly committed to sustaining collaboration with our counterparts in Africa. Let us continue to work together, share knowledge, and empower our communities. Together, we can shape a safer digital future for all of us. I wish you productive deliberations during this important forum, and I thank
everyone will be better informed, better prepared after this forum. The next speaker is the Honorable Lamin Jabi, Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, the Gambia.
Distinguished guests on the high table, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here, and greetings from the Gambia. We call it the smiling coast of Africa. It is a profound honor for us to be invited and to be part of today's forum. We thank the Council of Europe, the African Union Commission, the European Union, and more specifically the government of Kenya for convening this very important forum. We recognize globally that cybercrime is now one of the greatest challenges of our time. Going by the records of this year, it is projected to cost the world over $10.5 trillion US dollars, means in projection-wise annually. And what is making it even more difficult for us is the emergence of artificial intelligence and its use in the commission of cybercrime. Our reality in Africa is that we are not spared. We have a series of challenges, from policy to regulations, infrastructure, strategies, engagements, partnerships. We can list it. Based on the report of the Interpol, in their own assessment, our continent as Africa is losing about $3 billion US dollars each year to cybercrime, with 80% of African organizations reported at least one incident in the past year. And we are facing a shortage of more than 200,000 cybersecurity professionals. That's what we need. And that gap is a challenge that we must all be ready to address. In the case of our own small country, the Gambia, more reason why we are here today is that by 2024, we recorded about 1,729 cybersecurity attacks, cybercrime attacks. And in fact, we ranked among the top 10 most targeted countries in Africa, a small country like that. And you want to know where we are standing? 5th in Africa for the attacks. We see this as a wake-up call. And as a result, we quickly went ahead and ratified the African Union Malabo Convention. We participated in the validation of the revised ECOWAS directive on cybercrime last week in Lagos, Economic Community of West African States, In September this year, our data protection bill was passed and assented to by the President of the Republic of the Gambia. And in 2022, we inaugurated a digital forensic laboratory for the Gambia Police Force. It is operational, but we know it has its own challenges up to now, which we are addressing. We adopted the National Cybersecurity Strategy covering the duration 2022 to 2026 next year. We established the National CERT, and we are aligning our legislations with the international best practices. We are also investing in youth empowerment and public awareness, especially on the matter of cybercrime. For partnerships, since 2017, the Gambia has engaged closely with the Council of Europe. We received support in drafting our data protection and privacy bill, cybercrime bill, and electronic evidence provisions. We benefited from the capacity building for our institutions. And for that, we are deeply grateful. But of course, there are challenges, and these challenges, as I said at the beginning, are there for everybody and for every state, every country. In Africa, about 40% of African countries, we know, based on the statistics, have specialized cybercrime police units, only 40%. Fewer than 30% have trained prosecutors or judges for electronic evidence. We are having that as a challenge as well. Over 60% of investigations still stall or very weak, especially when it relates to cross-border issues. Despite the $3 billion annual losses, cybersecurity budgets in many of our states are still below 0.1% of the ICT expenditure. And the skills gap with the need for over 200,000 trained professionals is an area that we must also look at. Public awareness certainly is also limited, as survey has shown that 83% of citizens believe they can recognize a cyber incident, yet 53% do not know what a ransomware in fact is. Your Excellencies, cybercrime is a shared threat to all of us, even for a small country like ours, ranking 5th. So we believe we must harmonize our legislations, shared intelligence, through collective capacity building as a nation. The Gambia stands ready to face those challenges together with the rest of you, particularly Council of Europe. Ready to deepen cooperation with African partners, with the Council of Europe, European Union, and of course the African Union. Together we can build a cyberspace that is secure, inclusive, and which is anchored on the respect for human rights and the rule of law. It is time we seize this forum as an opportunity for us to speak with one voice, for us to come up with strategies that will push us to harmonize, our policy approaches, recognize the weaknesses in our infrastructure, and strategize for a path that is sustainable and that is effective and efficient. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your opening remarks. Thank you for bringing into play the African perspective, the Gambian perspective on cybercrime, and also for sharing the challenges that you are facing on fighting against cybercrime, but also progress and strategic approach, and also the emphasis on the relevance of the harmonization of legislation and capacity building. We stand ready also to continue our support and engagement with African countries. Now it's my pleasure to invite to address the opening Mr. Vincent Pereira, Attorney General of Seychelles.
Excellencies, the organizers, distinguished participants, all protocols observed. At the heart of our journey as human beings lies a simple truth. All of us long for a life without fear, a life without suffering, a life lived in happiness. Aristotle called this eudaimonia, a life favored by gods, the flourishing life. He taught that happiness is found not in indulgence, but in rational activity guided by virtue. Yet history shows us another path, the path of vice, pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. When human beings pamper these inner evils, crime is born. This, in my view, is the root cause of crime, the pursuit of happiness through vice rather than virtue. Human beings, in our quest for happiness, created machines. The Industrial Revolution machines made our work easier, faster, and more efficient. But machines serve both the virtuous and the corrupt. With the invention of the computer, crime itself evolved. A new word entered our vocabulary, cybercrime. What began as theft and fraud in the physical world now found new expression in the digital realm. Today, we stand at the threshold of the fourth industrial revolution, already preparing to cross into Industry 5.0. Machines now think. So artificial intelligence is no longer science fiction, it is reality. But with this advancement comes peril. We have already seen crimes committed with the aid of AI, deepfake extortion, automated fraud, cybercrime as a service. Technology evolves and crime evolves with it. Hence, the fight against crime should evolve. Darwin reminded us of survival of the fittest. Adaptation is essential. For the guardians of the rule of law, adaptation is not optional, it is imperative. They must adapt faster, for they are entrusted to protect those who cannot adapt or who adapt too slowly to the challenges of this technological age. Investigators and prosecutors know the challenge well. In any criminal investigation, we ask, who did what, when, where, and why? But in cybercrime, especially when committed using AI, these questions become far more complicated. Evidence is harder to gather, harder to interpret, and harder to present in court. Separating truth from falsehood has become an arduous task. Ensuring that guilt shall not escape nor innocence suffer is becoming increasingly difficult. Therefore, as highlighted by the distinguished speakers already, cooperation both locally and internationally is not a choice, it is a necessity. Private sector must assist the public sector. Countries must assist one another. Investigators, prosecutors, and the judges must be trained to handle cybercrime and electronic evidence. In Interpol's report that was referred by the previous speakers, it revealed that cybercrime now accounts for more than 30% of all reported crimes in Western and Eastern Africa. So we heard from Mr. Matthias about several other reported occurrences of cybercrime. The figures demand action. We must assess our capabilities honestly, and it is the need of the hour to craft a continental strategy to defend Africa from cybercrime and cybercriminals. Ladies and gentlemen of this distinguished gathering, the pursuit of happiness for us as human beings is instinctual. But when happiness is sought through vice, crime follows. When technology is misused, cybercrime emerges. And when artificial intelligence is involved, the threat multiplies. Let us therefore adapt, let us cooperate, let us defend. For only by acting together across institutions, across disciplines, and across borders can we transform vulnerability into resilience and peril into promise. Together we can secure Africa's digital future. Together we can uphold the rule of law. Together we can ensure that eudaimonia, the true human flourishing, remains within reach. Thank you all, and a special thanks to all the organizers who brought us together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Attorney General, for the inspiring speech, motivating speech, and putting things into context, and also for outlining the relevance of the investigators and prosecutors in conducting cybercrime investigations, prosecutions, the difficulties they are facing, and also for mentioning the private-public cooperation, which is also indeed to complement the international cooperation, so the strong partnership that should be established to fight against cybercrime. And now I have the pleasure to invite the Honorable Justice, Dr. Smokin Wanjala, the Supreme Court Judge and Director General of Kenya Judiciary Academy.
Distinguished participants, distinguished guests, my colleagues at the high table, maybe low table rather. Let me especially recognize the Honorable Principal Secretary for the State Department for Internal Security and National Administration, Dr. Molo, and my colleagues. And so it is a profound privilege for me to address the Third African Forum on Cybercrime and Electronic Evidence here in Nairobi, Kenya. This forum, which is a collaborative effort between the government of Kenya, the Council of Europe and the European Union is dedicated to strengthening Africa's response to cybercrime and the attendant role of electronic evidence. We at the Kenya Judiciary Academy and the judiciary at large are pleased to be part of this tremendous effort. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa's digital transformation offers vast opportunities, but it also introduces significant vulnerabilities that cyber criminals exploit due to the anonymity, speed, and borderless digital arenas. Therefore, upholding the rule of law, as those who have spoken before me, in the digital environment is not only urgent but indispensable. To this end, securing cyberspace requires clear and predictable legal frameworks calling for robust cybercrime legislation, strong procedural safeguards in prosecuting cybercrimes and handling electronic evidence, while at the same time, like the previous speakers have emphasized, ensuring that the citizens' rights, including privacy and freedom of expression and due process, are protected. Also, as we strengthen enforcement and protective measures, these measures must not erode, as I've already stated, the fundamental rights of the citizens. The constitutional safeguards and the judicial role remain paramount in this regard. Regulatory interventions must always be necessary, proportionate, and anchored in this framework on the constitutional landscape. The judiciary in Kenya plays a central role in ensuring accountability while upholding rights. More so, the evolving landscape presents challenges and opportunities requiring continued judicial capacity development capable of effectively adjudicating cyber-related offenses, supporting cross-border cooperation, aligning judicial practices with emerging global standards, and handling electronic evidence in a manner that upholds the values that I've already alluded to. Now, fully cognizant of this role, the Kenya Judiciary Academy, in the discharge of its donated mandate under Article 1721D of the Constitution, has positioned itself at the forefront of efforts to enhance judicial capacity in navigating the complex landscape of cybercrime and electronic evidence. And I think the Attorney General, the Honorable Attorney General of the Seychelles, has made it very clear that capacity building for judges and other law enforcement officers is a necessity. This is achieved through comprehensive and continuous training strategies. The Academy employs a structured annual training calendar and has adopted a training of trainers model to create a specialized pool of trainers and judicial personnel with expertise in this area. Through the structured continuous judicial education, the Academy has also prioritized specialist training for judges and judicial officers on cybercrime, on topics including cybercrime, electronic evidence, digital rights, data protection, technology-based sexual and gender-based violence, and the investigation and prosecution of online child sexual exploitation and abuse. Particularly, I can just highlight a few of the trainings that the Academy has undertaken in partnership with the Council of Europe, the European Union, and the Commonwealth Secretariat as follows. In the following years, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026 as projected. We've had training of trainers on cybercrime and electronic evidence, an introductory course, which was held sometime in August 2023. We then followed that with the training of trainers on cybercrime and electronic evidence, an advanced course held in September 2023. We followed that up with training on cybersecurity, digital forensics, and digital evidence handling in January 2024. We've also had the judicial conversation on data protection for judges, judicial officers, criminal justice actors, which was held, a conversation that was held in October 2024. The Academy has also conducted a digital rights training on digital infrastructure and data protection for judicial officers, which was held in November this year. The Academy has also conducted specialized training for judges and judicial officers on the adjudication of counter-terrorism cases, to wit, training of officers on adjudication of counter-terrorism cases held between 8th and 10th of February 2024. Through these and many other trainings that the Academy has conducted in concert with the Council of Europe and the European Union, now through these interactive workshops and expert-led sessions, the Academy continues to equip judicial officers and judges with the practical tools needed to navigate this complex scenario and to understand cross-border cyber operations, interpret electronic evidence, and adopt international best practice. In conclusion, the digital revolution presents us with extraordinary opportunities, but also profound challenges. The collective responsibility to ensure that justice, security, and human dignity guide this transformation rests, as we have been told already, with each one of us. I therefore join my colleagues who have already spoken in urging us all to engage candidly as we deliberate on these complex issues. Let this forum serve as a renewed commitment to stronger laws, deepened cooperation, and unwavering protection of citizens' rights, ensuring that as we secure cyberspace, our measures remain necessary, proportionate, and anchored on constitutional safeguards. The Academy stands ready to collaborate, to learn, and to share the specialized capacity we have built in adjudicating these crimes. May our deliberations pave the way towards a safer, more secure, and more just digital Africa. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Honorable Justice, for addressing the opening, and also for emphasizing the need for capacity building for judges. This is part of our capacity building programs, and it's not done on ad hoc basis, because it's important to be sustainable, to continue, because there is a need, given the evolution of the technology, there is a need to continue with training of also judges together with law enforcement, prosecutors, and so on. And the role that is played by the judicial academies, we count on their support for replicating these training programs that we managed to put in place. The next speaker is Dr. Raymond Omolo, Principal Secretary for the State Department for Internal Security, National Administration of Kenya.
Thank you, Moderator. Distinguished representatives from the Council of Europe, the honorable ministers from various African countries, ambassadors, heads of diplomatic missions, esteemed judges, prosecutors, investigators, and law enforcement officers, representatives of international organizations, civil society, academia, and the private sector. Good morning. First of all, allow me to begin by extending a warm welcome to each one of you to Nairobi, our beloved city. We Kenyans are known for our hospitality, and I hope that you will take the opportunity to experience the richness of our culture and the warmth of our people during your stay in Nairobi. I know you are expected to be here for 3 days, and I would urge that, if possible, extend by at least a day or so that you get to appreciate the city in the sun. It's a great honor for me to officially welcome you to the 3rd African Forum on Cybercrime and Electronic Evidence. And on behalf of the government of Kenya and the people of Kenya, I convey our deep appreciation to the Council of Europe, the European Union, the Kenyan Organizing Committee that includes the Ministry of Interior and National Administration that I come from, the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy, as well as the Kenyan Judiciary, for their commitment in bringing this important forum to fruition. We are proud to host this global gathering and deeply grateful for the confidence that was placed on Nairobi as the venue for this dialogue, and an acknowledgement of our growing leadership in digital transformation and cybersecurity across the continent. The digital era has unlocked immense opportunities for nations and their citizens. It has connected us, it has expanded our trade, it has broadened access to learning, and brought critical services closer to our people in ways unimaginable just a decade ago. Here in Kenya, our digital ecosystem is expanding at an extraordinary speed. We are now ranked among the 10 fastest growing digital economies in the world. Guided by His Excellency President Ruto's commitment to digitize and automate all critical government processes, we now have more than 40 million smartphones capable of accessing nearly 80% of all public services online, making digital platforms central to daily life for millions of Kenyans. Just to contextualize it, at the beginning of this administration, we had barely 300 services offered digitally. To date, we have in excess of 22,000 government services being offered digitally. Yet this rapid expansion has also come with increasing complexity. Kenya, like many other nations, has witnessed a rise in sophisticated cyber-enabled offenses, financial fraud, ransomware, online child exploitation, disinformation, as well as cyber terrorism. Our e-governance platforms have equally been targeted. Some incidents as recent as last week. The continent loses more than $4 billion annually to cybercrime. And these losses weaken our economies, undermine trust in digital systems, and increase vulnerabilities for governments, businesses, as well as citizens. These threats are borderless, A cyber incident originating thousands of miles away can destabilize institutions here at home within seconds, if not minutes. This reality makes one point undeniable, that our response must be coordinated, international, and sustained. We must be able to strengthen our collective capacity to detect, deter, and prosecute cyber threats while safeguarding the integrity of digital platforms across our borders. And previous speakers have spoken to this. And that is why, as we participate in this third African conference on cybercrime, we need to take stock of the challenges that exist within the cyberspace as we appreciate the advancement that has occurred over time. So, as we strengthen our defenses, we must also confront the growing challenge of anonymity in the cyberspace. Across Africa, anonymity continues to impede investigations, frustrate accountability, and complicate the presentation of digital material before courts of law. And I'm happy that over time, particularly within the judiciary, when you look across government, I think the judiciary or the judicial arm of government has been at the forefront. Actually, its embrace of technology is more advanced when you compare it with the executive as well as the legislature. So we must therefore explore innovative but right-respecting solutions such as secure digital identity systems that protect privacy without harmful anonymity. And when properly designed, such systems can preserve user safety while enabling lawful tracing of malicious activity without compromising on the civil liberties or human rights. Related to this is the challenge of jurisdiction. And cybercrime rarely respects national boundaries, and when offenders operate across borders, timely cooperation becomes essential. Strengthening mutual legal assistance, ensuring due process, and protecting the fair trial rights of suspects must remain central to our efforts. Dear participants, it's increasingly urgent that we also deliberately place young people at the center of cybersecurity conversation. And when I say young people, as a continent, we have the majority of our population very young. In the Kenyan context, the median age is now 19 years. So as we have these conversations on how to deal with the challenges of cybercrime, the young people must be at the center of it. Our youth are among the most connected on the continent, yet the majority continue to view online privacy only through the lens of social interactions, with limited appreciation of the broader risks posed by big tech platforms, data harvesting, and malicious cyber actors. We must be able to ask ourselves, what is the appropriate trade-off between convenience and cyber safety? With e-commerce, digital payments, AI-driven platforms, and social media that's expanding rapidly, the next 5 years will see what we refer to Gen Z and Gen Alpha become the largest consumer group, deeply connected but also increasingly vulnerable. It falls on us to be ahead of this curve and to be able to design mechanisms that safeguard their digital well-being through awareness, education, conversations, and robust online protections. We are running a real risk of a generation that is exposed to identity theft, misinformation, exploitation, and manipulation on a scale that is unprecedented. It is in this broader context that partnerships become indispensable. Cybersecurity is not just the responsibility of government alone. It demands coordinated action across industry, academia, and the civil society. And as Africa strengthens its digital foundation, These partnerships are especially critical in building the technical capacity of our law enforcement agencies, ensuring that they have modern forensic tools and specialized skills to be able to investigate cybercrimes effectively and preserve the integrity of digital investigations. And through the partnership that we have with the Council of Europe and a number of other international institutions, I know that there have been several forums, whether it's with the prosecutors or the judges and magistrates, as well as the security officers, to be able to upscale and build capacity to deal with the challenges of technology. This capacity becomes even more important when cases reach the justice system, where standards for handling and presenting digital material remain uneven across the continent. And I'm glad to note that in the Gambia, they are fast implementing and adopting a lot of what is happening internationally. And prosecutors are often required to submit certified evidence and to rely on expert testimony to establish its authenticity. In the country, we are often faced with a lot of challenges because a lot of these digital platforms are operated and manned from mostly Europe and in the US. And when you try to investigate, look for information, get evidence, we are always at a loss in terms of the speed with which our partners are willing to collaborate and provide the evidence that is necessary that will stand scrutiny before our courts. So as we address the legal and technical landscape, we must also ensure that innovation and human rights advance together. Kenya has demonstrated a sincere commitment to building a future-ready cyber governance framework, one that protects national interests while upholding individual liberties. His Excellency President William Ruto recently assented to amendments to the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act to address emerging offenses as well as strengthen deterrence. We have also enacted the Virtual Assets Service Providers Act of 2025 to regulate cryptocurrency activities under strict oversight. Internationally, we are aligning with the Budapest Convention and have signed new cooperation agreements with our European partners to enhance cross-border collaboration. These developments reinforce our determination to protect critical information, infrastructure, and ensure that our laws keep pace with innovation. As Africa remains largely a consumer continent of digital hardware and infrastructure, we continue to look up to our global partners, especially Europe, for secure and trustworthy technologies. And it's imperative that the products entering our markets uphold the highest standards of safety, data privacy, and resilience. Our citizens deserve assurances that the infrastructure we procure will not expose them to hidden vulnerabilities or compromise our national security. As I conclude, I would want to reaffirm that this forum provides a vital platform in refining our understanding of cyber threats, strengthening cooperation, and also allowing us to align with the international standards. And that over the next 3 days, our discussions need to be candid and the insights need to be bold with a firm resolve. I would urge us, as we engage over the next 3 days, that as we will be leaving Nairobi, let's do so with a renewed commitment, with deeper partnerships, and a shared blueprint for action. And with those many remarks, allow me to officially declare the Third African Forum on Cybercrime and Electronic Evidence open. I thank you and I wish you fruitful deliberations.
Thank you very much, Principal Secretary, for the comprehensive overview on cybercrime, cybersecurity, digitalization, and also for mentioning the role of youth. Indeed, we have to invest in the future. We have to invest in capacities, but also consider the years to come. You are a strong partner. You are having a leading role, not only in the region, so we are very grateful for our cooperation, and also thank you once again for hosting this event. Before we close for coffee, before we break for coffee, just few administrative announcements from my side. So there will be a group photo that will take place outside the conference room. Be invited in the dedicated room for the press conference. My colleagues will guide you on that. We will resume according to the schedule at 11 sharp with the workshops. The one on legislation taking place here and the other one on the cybercrime threats on the other room, which is near to the registration desk. But again, my colleagues will guide you also on that. The lunch will be served in the restaurant, and for the dinner, there is a slight change then in the agenda as it was initially foreseen. The Kenyan hospitality they want to enjoy, and they want to host a dinner, so it will take place outside the hotel. 7:30 we invite you to meet in the lobby of the hotel, and then there will be buses to take out to the place where the dinner is going to take place. So, and the dinner will start.
This is going to be a brief press briefing. We will share the press release after this. First of all is to welcome everybody here. We've just had the opening session of the third African Forum on Cybercrime and Electronic Evidence. And this is, Kenya is playing host to the third forum. The first one was in Ethiopia. The second one was virtual, and this is the third one. And we are jointly hosting this forum or this conference with the Council of Europe, together with the European Union, the Kenyan government, through the Ministries of Interior and National Administration and the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy, as well as the Kenyan judiciary. Now, this forum is focusing on strengthening the continent's response to cybercrime, and it has attracted participants from across the continent and also across the globe. We have more than 35 nationalities in attendance, with others also attending virtually. The focus of this forum primarily is to allow us share experiences across in terms of how to deal with the issues around cybercrime. We have law enforcement agencies and officers from across. We have ministers from across the continent, together with the practitioners, both in the private sector, the academia, and the civil society. So beyond sharing experiences on dealing with cybercrime, the conference is also focusing on sharing best practices in terms of the advancement that has happened within the technology space over the last couple of years. Then also there are international conventions that Kenya is either in the process of acceding to or as is part of. So in the African context, there is a Malabo Convention. We have the Budapest Convention that is European, but then has a number of countries participating in. As a country, we're in the process of doing that. And maybe just one last comment from me before I invite our friend from the Council of Europe to make a few remarks, and then also Justice Smokin, is that as a country, we can all agree and appreciate how technology has helped in the public accessing services. We have the e-citizen platform that has more than 22,000 services that are offered digitally to Kenyans, and it has made it easy for Kenyans to access services. But with this advancement in technology, we continue to face challenges like cyber threats. Last week, for almost half a day, if you remember, we had denial of services across various ministries. 2 years ago, for almost 48 hours, there was a similar challenge with access to the e-citizen portal. And we are constantly looking at ways in which we minimize some of these threats, because apart from denying citizen services, there are also fraud that happens. There's loss of money. In the context of Africa, last year alone, we were losing in excess of 40 billion US dollars. So it's a good and perfect opportunity, so that as we embrace technology, as it makes our work easier, there are also elements who use the same technology to commit crime. And we are looking at issues of law enforcement. How do we work closely with the judiciary to support in addressing the challenges or the concerns on cybercrime? So thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal Secretary, for introducing the main objective of this forum. Indeed, it's a platform for countries from Africa to express their voices, to show their challenges and also the needs. Because I could not agree more with you on what you said about the threats and the challenges that we are facing and the need for capacity building for criminal justice authorities. That's why we are organizing such events, but we also engage with the countries from Africa, and not only in assisting in capacity building, in legislation. We start with the legislation. We mentioned in the opening the Budapest Convention. It has been mentioned also by the Principal Secretary. It's the main instrument at the international level for standards, legislative standards on cybercrime. It works perfectly with the UN Convention that was recently signed by 72 countries, but it will take a while until we'll get into force. In our program, basically, we can engage with any country that is interested to harmonize the legislation and to benefit of support from the Council of Europe. And just to give an example, so far we've been engaged with more than 140 countries. And in the last 14 years, since the dedicated office for capacity building is established by the Council of Europe, more than 2,500 activities, capacity building activities have been organized. And coming back to the Budapest Convention, I mentioned in the opening remarks that it has been celebrated recently, the 24th anniversary. So it's a great tool. We'll continue to support countries in implementing that. And just for you to have an understanding, there are 97 countries engaged with the Budapest Convention, 81 countries that are fully parties, and 16 that are in different process of acceding to the Budapest Convention. And 13 countries from Africa are fully members to the Budapest Convention, and 4 more countries are observers, so in the process of acceding to the Budapest Convention. I want to conclude here and express my gratitude to the Kenyan authorities for hosting this event here. Why? Maybe a question is why this forum is organized in Kenya, because of the kind offer of the Kenyan government, but also because of the commitment, the experience, and the leading role Kenya
place in fighting against cybercrime.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Principal Secretary. As I said in my opening remarks, the Kenyan judiciary conducts trainings through the Kenya Judiciary Academy for its judges and magistrates. But in this particular aspect, is to equip the judicial officers, judges and magistrates with knowledge about the content of cybercrime law and also knowledge on how to handle electronic evidence. Unless judges are properly equipped, they are unlikely to render justice in the manner expected because of the complexity of the crimes we are talking about here. And these are things that people are never prepared for at their schools of law. So it is learning on the job, and therefore we have prioritized that training, which must be sustainable. So that, and another aspect of our training is that it is not silo. It is multi-sectoral. We train prosecutors together. We train together with the prosecutors and even investigators, so that all these actors in the justice sector can start aligning their processes and their minds, so that the prosecution, the investigation, prosecution, and adjudication of a cybercrime is seamless. So that is the concentration. And I did mention quite a number of those trainings. Some are projected to take place by next year. So I think let me leave it at that one.
Thank you.